I'm the Recovery Ronin, and I am the Recovery Ronin because I am at war. This video is my plea to anybody to help me get this message in the hands of a politician that has access to financing, of somebody who has resources, that really wants to see change. Like, what I'm saying isn't new. Maybe I've put it together in a unique way, and I have a unique set of experiences. It is so frustrating to know what I know, to have seen what I have seen, to have been through what I've been through, to know what really begins to cure addiction, mental health, cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes, anxiety, depression, loneliness, boredom, PTSD, all of it. And it's not like I didn't invent any of this. I don't have to do my own research. Now, I do have proof of concept. I have seen radical transformation in 100% of my patients in weeks, and I wasn't even in control of it. It was a program built by Mr. Meeks, because I tried to do adventure therapy, experiential and exposure at dozens of facilities, and it didn't work anywhere because there wasn't a culture for it. Once you create the culture, then the system can work. So we know what we're dealing with, right? What is anxiety? What is addiction? Does addiction have to do with the substance? I mean, you could ask almost anybody in our country and they'll tell you, yeah, addiction's about drug abuse. No, it's not. No, it's not. A substance that somebody is using addictively is the solution to the problem. It's not the fucking problem. This isn't, again, new information. 70 fucking years we have known this. I mean, the fact that the guy that wrote a book, the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous nearly 100 fucking years ago, was far ahead of most people I know who claim to be experts today on addiction. Like, I'm not even lying about this. I had a clinical director with 34 years of experience tell my entire community, and remember, she's an addiction expert with like 12 letters after her name, that she tells everybody the same thing. After 34 years, if you want to stay clean and sober, that worst moment when you got the detox, you have to hold on to that worst moment, whether you got here by plane, train, or automobile. Hold on to that suffering, and that's what'll keep you clean and sober. And this is what I'm dealing with. I've heard it by many therapists, that the substance is the problem and the choice is learning to say no in the middle of a craving. We build an entire culture around this idea that is so fucking flawed. It's amazing I'm the only one calling it out. It's ridiculous. To think and what recovery is for somebody with a chronic stress disorder is in the most extreme moment of that stress, that suddenly the fear of consequence is going to outweigh the potential perceived relief of their brain and their physiology of whatever that thing is so fucking stupid, because we've all tried it hundreds or thousands of times. Everybody with a destructive behavioral pattern will sit there after they do it again against their own will, the next day laying there hating themselves. The fuck is wrong with me? When I ask my patients, and I've done this hundreds of times with thousands of patients over the years, I asked them, when was the first time you were in tears, begging God and yourself to never use again? The average is about 10 years. Think about that. If it was a choice on any level, they would have made it then, because they did make it then. And you'll tell a loved one, I'm never doing this again. You mean it to your core because you hate the consequences. You realize you don't even really enjoy it anymore. But your brain doesn't know this. And if then we're taking away the one solution we have without replacing that reward mechanism of relief or activation of feeling alive, of meaning and connection, with something more grounded in a new identity, and wondering why nobody's getting better. Yes, our system is not built to heal people. You want to know the fucking truth? I have been told to my face by more than one clinical director that they agree with everything I say. But I still can't say it, because my job is to make the patients comfortable, not help them heal. I've been told it to my fucking face. And the wide gap of understanding what therapy is, because I've come up in the industry. I don't have a college degree, so I wasn't trained by the system, the educational system. I was trained in alleys, in detoxes, and sitting next to people crying for their fucking lives day in and day out. And I've been trained by hundreds of therapists, wide spectrum. I've been told that if my patients trust me or if I have empathy for them, I've already failed as a therapist. I've also been told trust and empathy are the most important things I can have as a therapist. What am I supposed to make of this? And then with my personal experiences, right? My own battle with addiction, my own battle with the ego of who I thought I was. I knew I couldn't stand myself. I hated being a narcissistic, selfish, attention whore. I hated everything about it. But how was I supposed to change it when it was the identity the world wanted me to have? No, I wasn't smart enough as a child to know what was happening to me. I was just trying to fit in. I was trying to find belonging because I didn't get a culture like none of us did. I didn't learn how to deal with death. I didn't know what to do at a funeral. I don't know what to do with my pain, my suffering, my trauma, besides make myself a victim in my fucking mind. And all that pain and misery, because nobody can relate to my experiences, just made me feel more alone and more alone and more alone. And then the need for validation. Hey, if I can get laid, if I can get girls to think I'm hot, then I might matter, right? That's what makes you feel good. That's what makes you feel like you have worth. What about if I have a nice car and I drive around with a smile? Look at me with my music blasting. Look how fucking cool I am, everybody. Wait. What if I'm driving a nice car and I'm wearing really expensive name brand clothes and girls think I'm hot? Oh, then I matter. Then I'll feel whole. What if I work a job I hate to make a bunch of money to buy shit I don't need, and I have a really nice house and a nice car and I can sleep around with all the women I want? Then do I matter? Do I feel like I have power? You know what power is? We have forgotten this. This is why we have so many weak men in our society, especially in our community. Right? That video I just saw of the guy, like, he posted it on the subway, a guy reading a book, just a normal dude reading his book, ask him to turn his speaker down on the fucking subway, and he loses his temper for about 5 minutes, threatening women, threatening a guy, I'll cut your fucking face, man, you don't want none of this drama. You think that made you look tough? That made you look like a petulant, weak, scared fucking baby. And I get it. I grew up on the streets too. Gotta get my respect. I know what that's about. Can't be tried. Can't look like a sucker. I don't fucking care. Your words don't have power over me. The need for you to respect me does not outweigh the respect I have for myself. The best weapons I have, even though I've been training on a heavy bag and I've been in way more fights, I am not a tough guy. I just have a very punchable face. I am easy to not like. I'm very obnoxious. I've had so many fights started with me, and I was kind of an asshole. And I'm definitely opinionated, and I have a loud energy. I take up all the space. So I've been in a lot of fights. But the best weapons I have are the ones from my hips to the floor. I will walk the fuck away. Call me a pussy. Call me a punk. You know what matters to me more than your fucking opinion of me? Being the husband my wife expects me to be. Being there for my friends. Being a good clinician. Making a positive impact on my community. Even like the Karens that live on my block that hate me because of what I look like and that my dogs bark. I have 2 big pit bulls. I'm trying to train them as best I can. Like they've never been out of my yard without me. There's never been an issue. But oh my God, are they offended? What? Because they're dogs? And oh, no. I know what it is. It's I have this face and I have this body. So you make all kinds of assumptions. And that's fine too. I don't take your shit personal. If anything, I kind of find it pathetic. Right? That you're going to judge me because, yeah, I do look like a gym bro. Everybody's going to think I'm a gym bro, douchebag, fuckboy. Of course. That's why I did the facial hair. That's why I got the fucking phoenix in the back of my head and I had the beard and I'll make the videos with my shirt off because there's no way around this. Nobody cares that I have a spinal disability that has caused me constant pain every day my entire life. That I have never slept more than 3 hours without waking up screaming in pain. And the only way I got myself out of a fucking wheelchair is by practicing yoga and Tai Chi and King Jong and proper calisthenics and meditation and mindfulness and learning to remove the stress. The idea that the pain I go through all day, every day is suffering. I did that. I respect myself for it. And fuck is it hard. But fuck is it rewarding. Welcome to life. Doing the hard thing is the rewarding thing. If you understand why you're doing it, what you're doing it for, when you're doing it to make the world respect you, it's never enough. And we know this. We know what is going on. We know we're about 4 or 5 generations into completely losing what it means to be a human being. No, we're not material by nature. To get this truth across, when it's so wild, science was human beings' attempt to start kind of like mapping our ego and realizing we're not the ego, that we're the awareness within, starting to map our environment. And if we can find programs, patterns, equations, forethought, control, conscious awareness written to the fabric of reality, that would bring us closer to God. And boy, did we find it. And then we discovered quantum physics over 100 years ago. It's like God with his pants down, like unrendered reality that responds to consciousness. And we still can't accept what it tells us. We're still so fucking ignorant and arrogant at the same time. Like the Dunning-Kruger effect, even by our brightest minds. I'll give you a perfect example. Neil deGrasse Tyson was on Rogan. Besides, Rogan wanted to punch him in his face because he would not let Joe talk. He just kept going. And I don't think he's a narcissistic asshole. I think he's very passionate because I'm kind of the same way, right? You get me going up. It's hard for me to stop. Like I have to be in my mind going, shut up, shut up, shut up, stop talking, let it breathe, right? Because I'm very passionate about like these things. Everywhere I go, trying to make a difference, trying to make an impact in people's lives, trying to inspire change. And so in that conversation, he was saying, we got it all figured out, Joe, right? If we can measure a thing, that means we understand the thing. First of all, what? We can measure gravity. Do we understand gravity? Even Einstein, right? The only one that kind of got it. And he got all his information from the Akashic records. And still, no, just because we can measure a thing doesn't mean we understand it. We still don't really understand the nature of energy. We can measure it. We can transform it. We can use it. We can manipulate it. But shoot, there's still all kinds of layers of energy we don't even have access to yet. Interdimensional particles going backwards and forwards in time, tachyon particles, right? And he said, so we got it all figured out, Joe. Maybe there's like a couple little corners here in quantum physics that we haven't figured out, but we basically figured out the entire universe. In the same conversation, a couple minutes later, he goes, we call 95% of the observable universe dark matter and dark energy because we have no idea what it is. Bro, what? This and look, I'm not saying he's dumb. Obviously, Neil deGrasse Tyson is unbelievably brilliant. It's the materialistic Dunning-Kruger effect, where we miss the complete forest for the trees. The evidence has always been there. There is no evidence. We have never been able to prove we are materialism, that consciousness comes from the human brain, that the universe is material in nature. All the evidence points to the opposite, that it's frequency, consciousness. Tesla said it, right? If you want to know the secrets of the universe, look to frequency and energy. He said, when science finally endeavors to research non-physical phenomena, the power of consciousness and energy will make more progress in a decade than all previous centuries. And we have to open ourselves up to this, because what do we think healing, what do we think addiction and chronic stress disorders are? It's that you are creating a map of you and the world based on a material, limited concept of life experiences. And again, we know this. This isn't new information. Buddhism is based on this. Jesus' teachings, Taoism, Stoicism, the ability to see life as happening for me, not to me, not like I'm some victim of my life, that I got what I got. I mean, there's even an argument that my soul chose the suffering I had to go through. I forgot, it might have been Epictetus that said those are on who suffer the most are on the fastest path to spiritual awakening. And now we're in a time because when I came in seeking healing, right, to make my story quick, I was born addicted to heroin. My mother was chained in a basement for 8 years in her childhood, raped and beaten regularly. I was the first thing, from what I was told by both of my parents, that I was the first thing besides heroin that ever eased my mother's suffering. That's why they didn't abort me. She used to cry in my arms all the time. I had energy masters come teach me healing when I was young. I blocked that shit out. But I got all her trauma dumped on me. And I'm grateful for it. I am grateful I was able to ease her pain. Plenty of my own bullying, plenty of my own trauma. The worst is my spinal issues, the constant spasms I have to deal with every day that made me feel so isolated. I didn't even know how to begin to map what I was dealing with in my body, and nobody could understand it because the only way I ever learned to deal with it is by constantly staying in motion and warmed up. And nobody could relate, so I didn't really try telling it to people because it just made me feel like a whiny bitch because nobody could see it. I used to be jealous of people who like had amputees or you could see their disorders because mine's invisible. And all you see is a guy that looks like he's in shape because I always exercise, even except for like the worst part of my addiction, a small part. Then I come into recovery, right? And I relapsed over 200 times. This is how bad our misunderstanding is. I promise you this. After my first detox, where I made it at least a week, I think my first legitimate detox, I went like 15 days. There is no part of me that would ever free will choose to go through that again. I was hyper aware. I was willing to do anything to never have to go through that detox again. It's hell on earth. And I did it cold turkey, no medication, no treatment, working 40 to 60 hours a week while homeless most of the time, trying to put a life together, desperate to find some kind of meaning and purpose in my life. What kind of direction do you think I got? When I finally found recovery, I was blown away to see hundreds of people in my home group, right? And all anybody sees the relapses that I chose to relapse. I never once chose to relapse. What I did choose, free will, hyper aware that I chose it, was to detox myself again, was to give myself another fighting chance at a life. Over 200 times, I made it at least a week. Withdrawals from fentanyl, heroin, Xanax, methadone, Oxycontin, Roxycontin, over 2. Nobody gets it. It's so right here, and we're all fucking blind to it. Addicts hate this shit. We all do. There is zero fun in being a junkie. But let's pretend because it makes you feel more fucking comfortable because we can't be honest about what it is we're dealing with. We're dealing with generations who have no idea who they are. We come into recovery, even with the 12-step program. Nobody knew what the fuck they were talking about. It took me over 20 years to understand what Bill W. was saying in that fucking book. God. Literally, I mean, the first time I read it in jail, I was blown away because it gave me that not alone sense. And that did so much for me. I call it that house of stability, where you're in your addiction, everything's chaotic. You come into recovery, and if you keep going, you'll get comfortable, you'll make friends, and you stabilize there. And you have some external motivators, the girl, the guy, the car, the respect, the health, the money, right? You want all these things, and you'll work hard for it. You'll show up, and you're learning about yourself. You're building a new identity built in that stability. But that ain't healing. That's the foundation of where healing can begin. Right? The crazy thing is, like, everything I say when I talk to the 12-step community is everything Bill W., Dr. Bob, and Wally P. said. And I'm going to get hate for it because nobody wants to listen. They just want to be right. Oh, it worked for me. What? You live a fucked up, shitty ass lifestyle. Your personality is exactly who it was 10 years ago. Here's a clear metric, right? How I judge a 12-step program. Yeah, I judge everybody. Get over it. I try to judge with an open mind and with understanding and acceptance and not putting myself above or below anybody. But of course, I'm going to discern. Not only that, I'm a clinician. I'm a professional judger, right? It doesn't mean I'm right. Of course, like, I don't know that I'm fucking right. I'm a human being. My shit changes all the understanding of what words mean evolves pretty regularly for me. How to internalize something, how to perceive something, constantly evolving, constantly. And a metric that I judge If you're not improving your health outcomes, right, where you're bettering yourself, your reactions, your impulsivity, your procrastination, your symptoms of anxiety, depression, lifestyle choices, saving money, hobbies, holding yourself accountable to the values and the goals that you say matter to you. If you're just doing the same thing, you have the same bad habits. Well, I drink coffee, I drink way too much coffee, but I'm constantly putting effort in. And it's not black or white. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, but I am continuing to get stronger emotionally. I could tell you 100 habits that are different than they were a few years ago. Not just in and the observable stuff, like how much coffee I drink, what my diet is like, what my exercise routines are, how my sleep habits are, how I am consistent with yoga, Tai Chi, and Qigong, how I communicate differently, but also the internal stuff, the sense of peace, the sense of comfort, the identity wrapped in my core spiritual self. Yes, it's a spiritual journey, but it doesn't mean anything to us anymore because we're 5 generations into not believing in spirituality. Most people will tell you they're spiritual and have nothing spiritual in their lives. If you don't practice, right, if you don't stop the ego, where you're constantly distracted by these things and focus your awareness on the moment. It could be at church, I don't care. It could be at a temple, it could be at a meditative practice, it could be at a meeting. Right? If you go to a meeting just to make yourself feel better, to not practice presence, to get laid, to feel like you've done something because you got clean time and it makes you feel better every time somebody relapses, people aren't self-aware at all anymore. They have no idea. Like, I knew this shit too. I would come in and everybody's like, well, it depends on what your intentions are. I don't know my fucking intentions, right? I didn't know how to be that honest with myself. And again, I don't think we're dealing with people constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. I think we're just so distracted, so overwhelmed, so egocentric that we have no idea what any of this means anymore. We have completely lost ourselves in the sauce of the chaos. And now I want to make my plea. I need help. I need help. Here's the truth. I know, and I have proof of concept. I can explain it spiritually, physiologically, emotionally, mentally. Give me a context. I'll explain to you of how I know healing will work and how we can build a legitimate paradigm, a new modality, the proper culture, mindset, and skill sets to help people rediscover healing again. We don't believe in it. People coming, how many people I know with fucking clean time, sober time, therapists, psychiatrists, they don't believe in healing. It's all about managing symptoms. It's all about objective world shit. Oh, I got a new car. I've got a saving account. Yeah, who fucking cares? How are you sleeping? How is your mind working different? How's your sense of confidence? Are you still just as fucking insecure as you were 5 years ago? Or do you have a new identity built in confidence and intentional, in spiritual grounding? Or do you not know who you are still? And it's okay. I'm not angry at you. What I am still angry at is this defensive nature we have built. That self-examination, that personal accountability is something that we should fight with everything we are against to stay exactly who we've been. Why are we so scared to be honest with ourselves? I know we don't know how, but you can't learn if you don't have the courage to go, oh my God, I have no fucking idea who I am, and I need help to discover it. And I need people who have done this work. That's why the 12-step program used to work 10 times more than it does today, because there were leaders that did this shit. And now anybody that tries to speak out that says, hey, there's more here than fitting in and feeling better, true spiritual awakening is a real process. It's not some wave of the hand, I'm a godly person now, because you say some cool shit in a fucking meeting and then prey on newcomers. It's personal accountability. And nobody's going to see it. It's not going to make it on your key tags. It's not going to make it on your chips. You're not going to get a piece of paper rewarding you for this work. It's going to give you confidence. It's going to ground you. It's going to teach you what humility actually is. Because you don't have humility until you have confidence. It's just self-deprecation until you build a sense of self based in real showing up, in real effort, God, what I've learned these last few years about being a man, God, I wish somebody taught me. And I think I talked about a little bit in my last video that I figured out why because I watch these Hollywood events and I'm like, these people are fucking out of their mind. Why did we give them so much respect in our society? They're fucking actors. Yeah, they're talented actors, but all they do is pretend to be something. Why? Because we don't have our own journey anymore. I didn't have my journey of overcoming, so I needed Rocky's story. I didn't have my own story of sacrifice and being the hero, so I needed movie 300. I didn't have my own story of courage and discipline and love, so I needed The Matrix. I didn't have my own story of being a white knight, so I needed Jedis from Star Wars, right? And it's okay. The first thing to healing is admitting we got a fucking problem. We got a massive cultural fucking problem. Again, the real way to identify there's three things, because I say the baby boomers were the first generation. Loss of culture. We replaced deep, grounded spiritual identities, traditions, and rituals with materialism and abundance. The first middle class in history, the first time 18-year-olds had money in their pocket, and we lost everything in this journey. They were the first generation for friendships to start being more important than families when they were teenagers. They were the first generation for procrastination to start to become a thing in a general way, and they were the first generation to care more about themselves than the generations behind them. This was unseen anywhere in history, maybe ancient Rome. I mean, I'm saying in general in a population, not even like in the elites, general in the population. And if you doubt me, look at how they voted in Canada, right? The baby boomers admitted, yeah, fuck the younger generation. I'm voting for this because my house is going to be worth a little more. Fuck them. I don't care if they can get a house or not. I don't care if they have a decent way of life. My house might go up a little bit more before I die. What the fuck, man? COVID is another great example. Do you think if that happened in the 1930s, our elderly would have allowed schools to shut down? Grandma and grandpa would have been like, what? I will protect myself. You're not taking my grandchild's life from them. Nobody would have bought into that shit. And I need someone with influence, resources, or courage to hear this part of this message. Because what we are doing for addiction, mental health, chronic stress disorders is not working at the level it should. And deep down, we all know it. We spent about $200 billion last year on substance abuse treatment. What are the outcomes like? So over 17,000 treatment centers. How many families are rebuilding their relationships, their identity? How many people are truly healing? Some people get clean and sober, and there's a tiny, tiny fraction of people whose symptoms have been massively reduced and that they have become real heroes of their own stories. This is not just a substance problem. It's not just depression, anxiety, obesity, ADHD, trauma, or compulsive behavior. At the core, it's an identity problem. Everything I just went through. We have created a culture where people seek comfort instead of learning how to create comfort within themselves. I can't tell you how pleasing it is to lay there at night and feel my ego want to over concern itself with bills or judge myself, or just that deep intrinsic fear of everything I've been through, projecting into a future of utter disaster and failing my wife and my friends. And I can see it, and I identify it, and I can let it go, and I can lay there in peace and just keep letting go of the fear until I'm in this infinite space of God consciousness, of true connection, of oneness, of wholeness. It's right there. It's all around us. I mean, all masters for all time have been saying the same things, and we still put our ego in the forefront because we'd rather be right and suffer and sacrifice our entire fucking lives than to do this deep intrinsic work. And I know because so few of us are doing it, and I have found it and I have seen it work. So people become dependent, not just on substances, but on distraction, validation, sex, scrolling, food, attention, achievement, anything that temporarily quiets the nervous system. And the more we depend on the outside world to regulate the inside world, the more fragile we become. Right? We think strength has something to do with what you have. Strength is how well you understand yourself and your ability to regulate yourself, staying on the path of your values and your goals, regardless of what is happening around you. That is power. Power versus force, right? Hawkins' book, Learning These Truths. mapping human consciousness, elevating ourselves. We have grown up in an environment so abundant, stimulating, and dopamine rich that many people never develop the ability to self-soothe, self-regulate, or self-motivate. We don't know how to sit with ourselves anymore. We don't know how to calm the mind without escaping it. Peace, letting go, focus. That is the crisis. So instead of building identity through challenge, meaning, responsibility, and effort, we build identity through consumption. This is a legitimate major crisis. And I have seen another way work. For over a decade, I've worked with nearly every position in this field: behavioral tech, case manager, primary therapist, adventure therapist, program director, group facilitator. I've worked with thousands of people suffering from addiction, trauma, anxiety, depression, and chronic stress patterns. And what I saw over and over again was this: people do not transform because they are comforted enough. They transform when they discover they are capable of more than they believed. When they choose to face their fears voluntarily. When they challenge themselves physically and mentally and emotionally. When they learn to breathe through discomfort instead of escaping it. When they realize the nervous system can be trained by intention. This is why experiential therapy, exposure work, mindfulness, breath work, meditation, cold exposure, adventure modalities, neurofeedback, metacognitive training, EMDR, hypnotherapy are also powerful when they're combined correctly, because they do something most treatment models fail to do. They create a new identity. They help you see the true root of your suffering. And I'm not suggesting you do this alone, but I am suggesting it needs to be done, and that we can create an unbelievable environment for this. Not an identity rooted in diagnosis, not one rooted in victimhood, one rooted in capacity, awareness, resilience, meaning, and self-respect. And all the science supports this. I'll give you some of the clinical stuff. When people voluntarily move forward towards meaningful challenges, they strengthen the anterior midcingulate cortex, the part of our brain tied to willpower and persistence. They improve the prefrontal regulation over the amygdala and fear responses, exactly what addiction is in the brain. They retrain the dopamine and reward circuitry through effort-based meaning instead of instant gratification. They increase dorsolateral, the fear center of their brain. They build courage, identity, not in one thing, in all things. But our current culture teaches the opposite. In simple terms, they stop feeling trapped by themselves. And we now teach them comfort everything, validate everything, negotiate with discomfort, avoid boredom, medicate symptoms without deeply retraining the system underneath them. And I'm not attacking medication or therapy. I'm a big believer in it, and it absolutely helps. But symptom management is not the same thing as transformation. The whole point of symptom management is to get the symptoms into a regulated space where the person can now begin to heal themselves. We need a cultural shift where accountability becomes empowering again. I am hated upon because of my confidence. Confidence will always look like arrogance to those that have none. Where challenge becomes meaningful again. Where people are inspired to fight for themselves instead of identifying with their suffering. Because healing is not learning how to stay comfortable inside of chaos. Healing is learning how to become strong enough to face it without abandoning yourself. We already know enough for neuroscience. We already know enough psychology. We know plenty of physiology and spirituality. What we are missing is the courage to build a system that actually embodies what we already know. I am asking for someone, help me bring this model to life on a larger scale. A system built around identity transformation, nervous system regulation, meaningful challenge, metacognition, mindfulness, community, purpose, and embodied practice. Because I've already seen it work. And I believe with everything in me that if we build environments that teach people how to regulate themselves, challenge themselves, reconnect to meaning, we could radically change the future of addiction, mental health, and chronic stress disease in this fucking country. Fuck, I know I can do it. And again, it's all, we have all the information. Why somebody hasn't already done this, I don't know. I don't want to go down conspiracy theory shit, business model. I do know that I was told that it's more important to comfort people than to help them heal. And especially, right, when people who didn't transform are trying to guide me into how transforming works, all they had was platitudes and cliches. Well, you just got to keep it simple, one day at a time, no matter what. That did nothing for me. Words didn't save me in my suffering. Self-regulation, self-empowerment, consistency, spiritual identity, and truth and practices began to transform this brain and this body. I am not clean. I am not sober. I don't give a fuck. I will never celebrate myself for not sticking a needle in my arm. Fuck, have we put the bar in hell? And we wonder why nobody's getting better. We tell them, no, it's okay to stay in hell. Just feel a little better while you're there. Don't do the one thing that actually eased your suffering, and let's not fix your suffering. Let's just pretend. Let's create an entire identity of healing around bullshit. Even in the 12-step community, Bill W. made it clear. I think it might have been Dr. Bob that said the good will always be the enemy of the great. Anytime I try speaking beyond cliches at meetings, oh, there goes Adam overcomplicating it. Wait. So step work is overcomplicating it. Understanding what a principle means for me is overcomplicating it. So what you think the program is just say cliches as if they've already transformed you and given you spiritual awakening, rather than stop the ego, go down the rabbit hole of self, and understand what honesty actually fucking means. Understand what consistency, what brotherly and self-love, like, no. Keeping it simple doesn't mean stay ignorant and just be arrogant about your ignorance. It means stopping the sauce of the ego and using these principles to map your inner world and elevate your perspective from a victim mindset to a victor mindset, from seeing through the lens of lies and fear, through the lens of courage and truth. I'm not a hero. I'm a healer. I have to fight through a body that is tormented every day. Even as I've began to heal the mental part of it, the spasms don't stop. I've probably had 15 while I was recording this fucking video. I've got 2 in my back and 1 in my hip right now. Do I expect anybody to understand this? No. Do you know how empowering it is to have to go through so much chronic pain and give myself respect for how I deal with it, where I know nobody will ever celebrate it, nobody will ever understand it, it won't make it on a key tags, nobody will ever applaud me, and it's fine. This is what self-empowerment is. Self-respect. Like, the teachings are there. We pretend we believe in them while we still completely obsess over materialism. And I could break it all down. Like, materialism of the ego is constantly stressing about the future you can do nothing about. If you have any spiritual practice at all, that would lessen. Doesn't mean it's black and white, it would just disappear, but you would be understanding what trust, belief, and faith are, and you would practice it. You would see the chaos in your mind, the stressing about bills, the stressing about the future, the stressing about the culture or community or fucking politics or whatever, relationships or loneliness that you're projecting into the future, and you would recognize it and you would put it in the box and go, wait, I do trust God. I do trust the process. I do trust the collective consciousness. I do trust reality is happening for me, not to me. Let me allow that to slip out of my mind. And that's just one example. When you don't practice spirituality, you have no idea what these things mean. Spiritual truth is you are energy. You are conscious awareness. The things the ego fucking hyper concerns itself with, the programmed physiology and neurocircuitry of your brain, is not who you are. It is a pattern of beliefs, thoughts, and feelings that repeat themselves in your mind and your body. We are so much more. We have just forgotten. We are a species with fucking amnesia, pretending like we're masters of the universe while we're victims of our own mind and nervous system. And then arrogant about it. The Dunning-Kruger effect of identity in our culture. What we all believe, I'm never enough, it's never enough. What we project, oh, I got my shit together. Even though I'm miserable as fuck. I barely make it through the day. I hate my job. I hate this life. I blame everybody and everything. And we live in the most abundant time in history. Yeah, things are expensive. And my life is 1,000 times easier than my ancestors. And I am always broke. And I make really good choices. I don't even eat out. Ever. I have an amazing wife that cooks, loves to cook, and I eat one meal a day. And I'm still broke all the fucking time. Because shit's expensive. But I have comforts and access and love and peace, confidence and friendships and support and meaning and purpose. I don't give a fuck about worrying about money. What does it do for me? About stressing and needing validation. I stress because I want to make a difference. I don't want things from the world. The stress I live in is knowing what I know, that we are capable of so much more in a world that is fucking blind to it, and that my voice has to change this as much as I'm humanly possible, because that's what I came here to do. That's the spirit within me, and I don't need you to understand it. But if you want freedom from self, there is a way, and I am not a master and I am not a guru. I am just updating the language from the masters that lived before us and transforming the science into functional teachings. It's not that fucking complicated. You want to know what keep it simple means? Practice. Stop talking. Stop learning. You already know everything you need to do. Practice. Sit in the chaos of your fears. Loosen their grip on you. Know why you make excuses, why you don't do anything consistently. Sit with that uncomfortable excuse-making machine you call a fucking mind. Listen to it. Loosen. Just because you have a thought and a feeling does not mean it's a command. And if you can't change the little things, if you can't stop yourself from eating chocolates 10 o'clock at night, can't stop yourself from freaking out over traffic, can't stop yourself from taking everything personal at work, you think you're going to control an amygdala hijack in the middle of a craving by playing out the consequences? Get the fuck out of here. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's unbelievable that none of us experienced this and we built an entire culture around something that really doesn't exist. 1 in a million. We don't turn around. We know we don't want to use. Even on a relapse. It's such bullshit. So if anybody has access to somebody that could do something about this, somebody with resources or connections to resources, please get me in front of them. Give them my videos. Get me a meeting. Let's begin to change this fucking world. God damn, there's millions and millions of us that need to hear that there's an actual path to healing, not the same cliches, platitudes, and bullshit, just wearing different fucking uniforms, pretending they've done something when their lives suck too. And I'm not a master. What I have done is gone from suicidal every second of my goddamn life to somebody who's consistently more peaceful, more confident, more grounded, more patient and understanding and healing, from wanting to put a bullet on my head my entire life to being proud of the man I am. Constant anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation, to confidence, humility, and comfort in my own body. I am the Recovery Ronin. Thank you for your time.